Despite being only 16 years old, the rapper known as Yvngxchris has pretty much nothing in common with your average teenager. That wasn't always the case, mind you, but after popping off with multiple viral tracks, this young man went from falling asleep in class to working with A-list acts and signing a record deal with Columbia all before turning 17. Hailing from Virginia and inspired by some of the best ever to do it, Chris has made sure to study some of the greats that have come before him to make sure that he can be his absolute best. After posting videos of himself rapping on social media, he began recording bangers on his phone, and before finally experiencing his breakthrough moment in October of 2020 with his song Kyrie Irving. Want to learn more? Then keep watching our newest episode of Before They Were Famous.
Anybody want to go out with this hot stuff? No? Okay.
Yvngxchris was born Christian Eugene Williams on November 21st, 2004 in the city of Portsmouth, Virginia, to his parents Eugene, a project manager, and Natasha, a nurse. When he was around 6 or so, Chris moved to Jacksonville, Florida. But after only a couple years, he'd move back to Chesapeake, Virginia, and spend the rest of his childhood there with his younger sisters Kyra, who basically Chris describes as his best friend and mini-me, as well as his baby sister Cassidy. As a kid, Chris loved his parents unconditionally, and they returned that love in a kind way by always supporting his dreams. Whether it was buying him cleats for track and field when he briefly considered becoming an athlete, or picking up mics and production software when music became the main focus of his life.
How long you been making music?
I've been making music really since 2019, but I've always wanted to do music. So,
bro,
yeah.
You already going this crazy?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really doing anything for it. I just found it as a hobby.
Okay.
Something I just wanted to do when I would get bored. So it wasn't really nothing for it.
During his school career, he attended Southwestern Elementary School, where he once during a school dance started a mosh pit to the song Watch Me Whip by Salento. Chris would later recognize this as a defining moment for him on his path to becoming a rapper. I don't know, could you imagine a mosh pit to Watch Me Whip? I don't know. Sounds interesting. Not saying I want it to happen, but I'm just saying. It'd be interesting. I'd like to see it. Back then, he'd listen to rappers like XXXTentacion and Comethazine, and he particularly respected how X would dabble in different genres, adapting to each new one like a chameleon and creating bangers no matter what. But the rapper that Chris remembers listening to first was Lil Wayne, an artist that his father would play all around the house from the time that he was just a kid, and whose music video for 6'7" inspired Chris to seek out the rapper lifestyle.
Back in the day, when I used to live in Florida when I was around 8 years old, my dad, he would play Lil Wayne around the house all the time.
That's what I read.
Yeah, he played it all around the house, and then I watched the 7 foot video when he was coming out the trailer and just recording it. It was crazy.
Eventually, Chris moved on to Joliff Middle School, where he began to slack on his schoolwork due to disinterest. Finally, he moved on to Western Branch High School, where he still is to this day. Over at Western Branch High School, Chris's favorite subject is unsurprisingly gym class. Through the reasons for this choice have less to do with his talents as an athlete and more because he's able to move around freely and hit on all the girls. Oh, you like gym class? It's the most relatable rapper ever. Speaking of which, in terms of relationships and all that, Chris has always fallen firmly into the category of player, after a girl broke his heart in 3rd grade by cheating on him with his best friend. Thankfully, as he's grown up, he has evolved from that choice and he's now in a dedicated relationship once again. But for a long time, he could never just settle for one woman. I mean, probably because as far as Chris is concerned, attending high school is more like a fashion show than it is anything else. I mean, kids around his school even refer to him as the popular pretty boy that raps. And yet, one very important thing that happened to him at school just last year, after being called out for his lack of contributions to the track and field team, Chris was eventually kicked off the team's group chat by all the coaches. Rather than hang his head in shame or even lose his cool, Chris simply decided then and there to focus on the possibilities of a rap career. And only 2 months later, he'd blow up. Working with his boys signed Suicide, Chris and he became the local rap duo at their high school, and they were both motivated by one another to keep getting better. At first, Chris rapped under the name Fadeless Rhymes, which he got from an auto-generated Xbox 360 gamer tag. Eventually, he'd evolved from that moniker into King C, but he wound up changing his name after a friend told him it was pretty basic for a rap moniker.
How'd you get this name Yvngxchris and everything?
All right, so before Yvngxchris, I had a couple different names. I had Fadeless Rhymes. I got Fadeless Rhymes from Xbox, my nigga. But and then before that, I had King C. So I was sitting down with my bro Sins. Shout out to Sins.
Yeah.
He said, bro, look up King C on YouTube and see how many King C's you see. I was like, all right, bet. I seen hella King C's. And he was like, bro, you need to switch it up. So I was like, all right, bet. let's make it basic, but like not too basic. So I was like, Yvngxchris, but I'm gonna spell it all like abstract and all that different shit.
Recalling that one of his favorite influencers over on Instagram goes by the name of Young Swag, Chris decided to alter his name to Yvngxchris and throw an X in the middle of it to honor XXXTentacion. With a new name and a clear plan in place, Chris joined SoundCloud towards the start of 2020 and began dropping tracks that showcased a knack for storytelling as well as ear-catching verses. He steadily built up an audience for himself over on the platform, and before he knew it, he'd arrive in a big way after his track Kyrie Irving started going crazy over on TikTok. As a teenager, Chris was already an avid TikToker. In fact, he used to create comedy content on the platform over the years. Around the time he got serious about his music, he had already built up his follower account to around 2,000 people. That's when he decided to switch up his approach. At one point during the pandemic, Chris was scrolling around on TikTok when he noticed that some random music snippet had received more than 5,000 likes. Not thinking the track was anything to write home about, Chris believed that he could create something even better. That's when he recorded himself performing Kyrie Irving and then posted it. He went to bed that night, curious as to what might happen next, and the next morning he woke up to more than 5,000 likes and a heap more followers. That became the moment that he realized he was really gonna make it in hip-hop after all. From that point on, he kept posting his music as regularly as possible to keep the momentum going. By December of 2020, everything would come full circle once Chris released his debut EP, Everybody Hates Chris. But as successful as 2020 was for Yvngxchris, 2021 would be even more so. Columbia Records reached out to him at the beginning of the year looking to sign him, but Chris wasn't really interested in having a label at that moment. Columbia was persistent though and kept coming back. Eventually, Chris decided to reward their tenacity and signed on to become part of the team. Since then, they've put Chris in touch with both Dre the Mayor and Pusha T, both who have become now Chris's official managers. When Columbia first brought up the idea, Chris thought they were playing him, but then he met with Pusha and Mayor and got filled in on their plans for him, which sounded right up his alley. Plus, with these two both being from Virginia, it kind of felt like a homecoming and everything just fell into place.
He called me one day while I was at my friend's house. He was like, yo, do you want Pusha T to be your manager? Out of nowhere. I'm like,
yo, call
yes.
me, fam. I got to answer to that question too.
Yeah. But now I was like, yeah, of course, bro. Like, obviously, like, you know, Pusha T is a GOAT.
Done deal, yeah.
So, like, a couple days later, hopped on a phone with him, you know, talked about business and, like, his vision with me, and then we're here now.
Beautiful.
Since then, Chris has seen yet another one of his tracks blow up on TikTok, a song called Blood in the Leaves that samples Kanye's own interpretation of the track. Chris originally posted a video with the song to TikTok, but when it didn't quite get the numbers that he thought it might, he deleted the video. A couple weeks later, he thought he'd try it out again. This time it started doing some decent numbers in the first week, but then another TikTok user started the Blood on the Leaves challenge, kicking off a viral sensation in the process. Before Chris even knew what was happening, all of TikTok seemed to be in on the trend, and that's how Yvngxchris managed to have two massive TikTok hits on his hands at only 16. Before Chris even knew what was happening, all of TikTok seemed to be in on the trend, and that's how Yvngxchris managed to have two massive TikTok hits on his hand at the age of only 16. Now, as one of the most popular young rappers in the world, Chris is going to have to find the right balance of work and school because my man is now just entering his junior year. As of this moment, he is taking online courses as he navigates his overnight success with the everyday necessities of being a teenager.
You know, it's kind of hard just juggling both sometimes because, like, I'm so focused on music and then, like, school comes into it too at the same time. So, like,
Absolutely.
I have to study and, like, make songs and
But that's like a
like
big
that.
thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're going to get high school done, knock it
Yeah.
out the park.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to.
In terms of his future goals, Chris plans on continuing to grow his fan base as well as prove to anyone that they can accomplish their goals as long as they put their mind to it. And if he winds up winning as many music awards and Grammys as he possibly can along the way, hey, all the better. Success like Chris's just don't happen overnight. It is earned, and I'm sure Chris will continue to transform himself into one of hip-hop's most promising acts. Thank you for watching, everybody. My name is Clyde Smith, and if you learned a thing or two from this video, then please hit like or subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another video. I need a new salute or something to sign off with. Comment section. Let's figure something out.